baseball. He scored! Oh my God! Can you believe it? Johnny Bench is tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Bolstered. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McLain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did! He did! Red win! Win! Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed the no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream to get into the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick. For some reason, there's a way in which perspective is always delivered, right? I tried to tell myself when the Reds continue to do the same things I thought I had seen already in 2024. I was told that it was going to be different. And I was down in the dumps, and then there you go. There's a tornado siren here. There's a tornado siren there. There's threats of wind here. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? They're 1-2. Life shall go on. But we'll see. Maybe it'll drum back up. You know, I do appreciate some of these Sunday night games, Nick, because it gives you a chance to maybe cool off a little bit before you do the post game. But I don't know how you're feeling. I would ask you how you're feeling, and I guess we'll still do so, but I'm sure it's not great.
Yeah, that was a pretty frustrating series loss here to begin the year, Trace. Just felt like a very winnable series. And sure, it's 3 games out of a 162-game season, but, you know, we saw in 2023 how April can completely kill your chances later in the year, and can give yourself too big of a hole to dig out of. So, it's just a lot of things you just don't love. I mean, there's a lot of things that went right too. So I don't want to, sit here and hit the panic button, but just, I don't know, left a kind of a sour taste in my mouth this weekend.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, and maybe you could feel this way about the majority of series, depending on how you dissect them, but it's one of those series that I could easily argue that they should have swept this series, and maybe a Giants fan could easily tell me that they should have swept us. I don't know, but it just feels like perhaps the reason that I had a tweet ready to go, and the tweet basically was, the 2024 Cincinnati Reds lose this game 4-1. The 2023 Reds won this game by 1 run. The 2025 Reds might just be what they are, and that is back. And I just never got to hit send. And I had to delete it, and it was painful. I was ready to watch it roar into the Sunday night, and it's a shame because it did feel like 2023 Reds for a minute, because last season it just felt like anytime this team got down by multiple runs late in the game, it was over. They just couldn't find a way to drum up some offense. They were able to do that, but obviously fell short. We'll talk about all of that and more here in just a moment. Box score recap, Nick, I'll let you take it away. Not a relatively well-played game until they started making some mental errors.
Yeah, Reds taking on the old San Francisco Giants. Game 3 of the first series of 2025 at Great American Ballpark, and got off to quite the start. Both starting pitchers, Nick Martinez and Robbie Ray, had a perfect game through the first 4 innings, but then Heliot Ramos, the brother of our old friend Henry, hit his second home run of the weekend with 1 out in the 5th to make it 1-0 Giants. The Giants would then add on another run in the 6th. The Giants would then add on in the 6th, putting up 3 more runs in total, capped off by a Matt Chapman home run. That made it 4-0 Giants. Gavin Lux finally broke up Robbie Ray's perfecto with the leadoff single in the bottom of the 6th. And then Austin Wynns crushed a 2-run home run to left field. I knew the second it left the bat that I was going to get a text from Trace, and sure enough, 10 seconds later, there it was. That made it 4-2 Giants. Matt McLain then made it back-to-back homers with his second home run of the young season. That made it 4-3 Giants. Then there was a really wild situation. Robbie Ray had a pitch timer violation earlier in the game. Then the small but mighty crowd of Great American Ballpark started counting down the pitches, the pitch clock, with Santiago Espinal at the plate. It appeared to actually mess up Ray's concentration, at least some, as he walked Espinal on 4 pitches. Elly singled, and it looked like the Reds were in business, but CES hit into a double play to end the threat. The Giants would tack on 2 more unearned runs in the top of the 8th against Taylor Rogers to make it 6-3. But the Reds had another great chance in the bottom of the 8th. Blake Dunn had a leadoff single, and then Jacob Hurtubise walked, pinch hitting for Wins. After McLain moved the runners over on a slow roller, Santiago Espinal came to the plate. Tito elected to let Espinal hit against the right-handed pitcher, Luis Matos, with Friedel and Fraley on the bench. Espinal hit a slow roller that should have easily scored a run, but Jacob Hurtubise inexplicably got tagged out by Giants third baseman Matt Chapman, who then threw to first for a double play to end the inning, leaving Elly De La Cruz in the on-deck circle. Reds went 1-2-3 in the 9th. Reds fall to 1-2 on the season. The Reds series finale woes continue. The Reds have now lost 17 of their last 21 rubber matches, and they have lost 32 consecutive series when they lost the first game of the series.
That's almost impossible. What is not impossible, though, is Austin Wynns homering, because I've been told that this guy's not very good. He's over the hill. He's a bum, and he should be in AAA. But every time he plays, he seems to just deliver. That is, if you don't look back at his baseball reference throughout the vast majority of his career, but I digress. Austin Wynns, he hit a home run on a fly ball to left field. Gavin Lux would score 107 off the bat, 410 feet. That was the front end of a back-to-back home run between him and Matt McLain. That would make the score San Francisco 4, Cincinnati 2. Cincinnati's win probability would jump up to 21%. As we all know, it would wind up being 0%. And shout out to DSC. They are a leader in renewable energy sources, specializing in biofuel production, used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. I guess where we start is aptly what you have on the rundown. It's what everybody's probably going to talk about, what happened in the 8th inning. It goes two ways, too, because I do want to get to the Hurtubise thing. But I also want to backtrack into how we got to a certain spot, and it's just so frustrating because it seems as if it was the same types of it was the same song and dance that we had seen last year at times that many of this fan base was screaming fire David Bell for. Now, obviously Tito Francona is clearly at the helm. He's a Hall of Fame manager. Will I think that he address all of this? Of course I do, but it just you scratch your head at times and wonder how this continues to happen with this Reds team. And I think that you've said this before, Nick. You've said, hey, if you watched every other team the same way we intently watch the Reds, we might think that every other team in Major League Baseball has a base running problem. That could be somewhat fair. But it starts with obviously the air with Elly and the defensive side. Then you get a chance where Austin Wynns looks like he throws out the base runner headed to third. Candelario swipe tags, and he unluckily doesn't tag him. I know some people are upset at Candelario for that because he didn't tag him out. Listen, when you're trying to make a play like that, you're catching the ball above your head. You're putting your glove down there as quick as you can. And you're swiping through the guy, and I'll just be frank with everybody. That's just a little unlucky for Candy. I don't think it was his fault. And I also want to say, before we go too far down the beaten path, I hope I'm not running over stuff on the back end here, Nick. That call stands. The call stands, okay? I don't know how you feel, Nick. I seen the tweet that you said. I just don't know how when you look at this, you can guarantee. You know my test, right, Nick? We all know my test. If you haven't watched the show, I'll tell you my test. My test is pretty dark, but I think it works well. It's that if you're going to overturn the call, that means that God knows the right answer. And if you're going to overturn it, then you better be sure that if you're wrong, then you die immediately. So that means that you better be damn sure that if you're going to change the call, that you 100% know that it's the right call. I don't think in a million years you could say that with confidence that Candelario's laces on his glove didn't graze the helmet. Do I think he tagged him? No. But as we've talked about before, Nick, that's not how this works. We've seen the Reds get hosed on this numerous times where it's do we think that this happened? Yes, but we can't guarantee it, so you got to stick with whatever was on the field. It doesn't go the Reds' way. Felt like a momentum type of thing, Nick, and then it just spiraled out of control from there. No excuses. I'm not saying that play was the reason the Reds lost or anything like that. I don't want to get it twisted, but it kind of was the start of the spiral, if you will. No pun intended, with tornadoes everywhere. Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, that was just the most brutal run you could possibly give up. Obviously, you create your own luck. Elly doesn't make a good throw. CES doesn't make a good pick, and none of that happens. But yeah, the call stands. It's just, I think we're both in agreement here that if they want to change the rule and make it to where there's, they say it's something like if you have 80% confidence, you can overturn it or give me some sort of number there, then I'm fine with that call. But that's not the way it works, and that's not the way it's interpreted consistently. And that's what bugs me, because there's been other times where I'm 90% sure that this call should be overturned, but they hide behind the call stands when it's in the other way in the Reds favor. It just feels like the Reds have just gotten screwed on this over and over again. But yeah, I mean, look, you make your own luck. The 8th inning was just... The 8th inning was felt like probably outside of obviously Ian Jabot on Thursday, the only just ugly inning for the Reds. They played pretty good baseball overall the entire weekend, minus really 2 innings. And those 2 innings are why the Reds are 1-2 right now.
100%. And, You fast forward into the next inning. You get a couple base runners on. That's the thing that stinks about this the most, in my opinion, is that Hurtaby's pinch hit to do exactly what he did to get on base. Like he found a way, he worked the count, he found a way to walk, he gets on base, he brings up the tying run to the plate, Matt McLain's up, and that's why this whole it is let's face it, it's a fickle game in the spots that you're put in, right? If Matt McLain hits a double, scores both runs, no one's talking about Jacob Hurtaby's at all. But that's not how this game works. The game will put you in tough spots at times that you got to make the right decision. For those that obviously weren't able to see it, truth of the matter is that McLain gets the runners over. Didn't get him over in the way that he intended to, but he did get him over. He hit a little squibbly ground ball over to the right side. That brings up, essentially a situation where Espinal, I don't know how you feel, Nick. Like, this is where you kind of need some pop on the bench at times, probably, to be able to pinch hit for a guy like Espinal in a spot like that. I'll also openly say, while I have a chance, I hate Espinal playing the outfield. I just like Espinal being in the lineup that's your disadvantage when he's playing. When he's in the starting lineup, the disadvantage should be, Espinal has to actually hit 1 through 9 here. It shouldn't be like, he has to hit, and by the way, you don't get the absolute best thing that he provides to your team, which is playing infield. By the way, the play at third base that some people are going to get on candy about, I can't do it. But maybe that's different if you have Espinal playing third base. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is. Ultimately, he hits a ground ball that clearly we all know since Little League you learn you can't run into the out there if you're Hurtaby's. It was just a brain fart. I don't know how else to say it. It just ran right into Chapman. Like, you couldn't quite literally be in a better spot for Chapman to get a double play. The ball wasn't even hit even in a remote spot where it pulled Chapman towards Hurtaby's. Hurtaby's literally had to run into him, and he did, and tags him out, throws out Espinal into the inning. Elly De La Cruz comes up to the plate with nobody on in the next inning when he could have had a chance to tie the game. So I don't. What more is there to say, Nick? I don't know, but maybe you have a different shining light on what happened in the 8th inning.
No, I mean, it's as bad as it gets, especially with Matt Chapman playing third base. Like, you also have to, just understand that guy will never screw up a play. He's as good as it gets at third base. So I have to, you almost have to have an extra sense of awareness if you're the base runner. And, I don't want to just sit here and crush Hurtaby's. I like Hurtaby's a lot, but I mean, there's other guys at AAA that can make up the margin of error that you don't have. Like, Hurtaby's job is to get on base and be a good base runner. Like, if Will Benson or if Rhys Hines makes a base running error, yeah, I'm not going to be happy about it, but they have a chance to make up for it with one swing in another game where Jacob Hurtaby's just doesn't. So he's got to, he's got to be better there. And I don't want to harp on this all year, but I hate Elly De La Cruz batting third. That's twice that in 3 games where I'm like, oh man, if he was batting second, Reds have a better chance of winning. Do they win either time? Probably not. But I would like to see Elly get a chance. There's a reason that just about every other team across baseball bats their best hitter first or second, and I just don't understand why the Reds are doing that.
There's not really an answer. And I think that you got to continue to trust Tito Francona because he is a Hall of Fame manager. It is easy to second guess him right now in a multitude of ways, in the way in which he's kind of gone about his business. From being a good culture guy, the intangibles, the things that you can't see on a day-to-day basis, Nick, we've talked about this before. That's probably 80 to 90% of the work of a manager in and of itself. It's the 10% that we get to see, that we judge. And for whatever reason, there's just not really been too many logical things that he's done from an analytics perspective. And I know some people want to crush that, and they'll be like, oh, my gosh, the analytical guys are trying to tell Terry Francona how to do it. I'm not an analytical person, as you know, Nick. I've always kind of pushed back on the notion that you always do what the book says. Sometimes you got to have a little feel. You got to have a little gut. And the truth is that some of this stuff makes no sense even with the gut. And you can go back to opening day to kind of start that trend of results. But we sit 3 games in. I think that it's funny when you do a post-game show like this and you do a podcast, you get both sides of the aisle that are always, one side's either mad at you because, you're not acting like you care enough, and then you get upset that you bring in Ian Jabot of all people. I don't know. I mean, that's the most obvious thing that you could possibly have done on opening day. I mean, you could have pulled the whole entire crowd at Great American Ballpark when they walked in and said, hey, we're giving away $1,000 today if you can guess who's pitching for the Reds in the 9th inning in a 1-run game. And you know what? The Reds would have given out $0. Not a single damn dollar they would have given away. So people are like mad at us because we're playing Monday morning quarterback because Ian Jabot came in the 9th inning. And then you're going to have some people mad at us because we're making a big deal about 1-2 in a course of 162. Here's the thing. For those diehards that do watch nearly every game, like we're 162ers, I just would say that they all do matter. Like, they really genuinely do. I get that people want to put this whole notion that it's like, well, in the course of an entire season, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, well, I hate to say this, but the Reds' margins, and that's what I said the other show, Nick, it feels like the Reds' margins are going to lie within the types of things that happen in the games like today. They're going to have to find ways to win these types of games when they do play up to par and they have one bad inning. Or they do have a chance to bring up Elly De La Cruz for a chance to tie the game, and they run into the third out of an inning. Basically a double play, making the second and third out of an inning. You can't convince me that doesn't matter. You can't convince me. And I don't think you are, Nick. I'm just saying to the public, I get that it's 3 games, and I'm not trying to act like the season's over because obviously it's not. But these are the types of plays and these are the types of decisions and overall outset or outlook of the team that really, quite frankly, made last season unenjoyable to watch and derailed their chances of even coming close to the postseason. So if this team's going to make the postseason, Nick, simply put, they're going to have to play clean baseball, and they're going to have to find ways to win in the margins. And right now, it seems like they lost in the margins the 2 games that they've lost. Because they didn't get just beat. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I don't necessarily also understand Espinal still hitting in that spot with Friedel and Fraley on the bench. Obviously, I don't want to crush Fraley, but maybe I do want Espinal honestly up there more than Fraley right now at this moment. But I think I would have taken my chances with Friedel. He still has more pop, and a 3-run home run there ties the game. But the Reds are just Trace. They're just right now. They're just pigeonholed into a lineup that doesn't make sense because Spencer Steer can only DH, and Steer had a nice swing today. Ripped a ball that got robbed on a hit, but he's got to hit, or this whole thing is just not worth it at all. Because, like you had said earlier, the only reason Espinal is playing in the outfield is because Steer can only DH. So if Steer is not hitting and producing, then it is handicapping your entire roster.
Yeah, and I would also argue what you just said. If we don't have confidence to bring Jake Fraley off the bench in a tight game against a right-handed pitcher, when you have Espinal
with no lefties left, with
Espinal hitting, then I hate to say this too, but like, what's the point of him being on the roster? Like, yeah, it's 2 games that we've lost. And I just want to say, though, before we get too far, I have 2 cigars. At some point, Nick, this came from the Dominican Republic, straight out of the Dominican Republic, Romeo and Juliet, home of Elly De La Cruz. I risked my life to go get these. At least I felt like I did. Maybe I didn't. If the Reds make the postseason, I've never smoked a cigar, but this will be the first cigar I smoke, and I got one for you, just so you know. So they may be dry, they may not taste good, but they'll taste good for the one smoke that we have, and maybe it's this season because I'm still holding out to the fact that they're going to have to figure out the roster, in my opinion, more or less than the core pieces. Because if you want to be positive about this offense right now, Nick, it's that I have a lot of faith in CES. I have a lot of faith definitely in Matt McLain. Elly De La Cruz is Elly De La Cruz, and I liked what I've seen so far out of TJ Friedl, oddly enough, which is a guy that I was very concerned about, and he gets no opportunity today, which was incredibly crazy to me. But here we are. I don't think the offense is a problem. I know that they only scored a couple runs today. Felt like they were stagnant for the most of this series. Are you concerned yet, I guess, if you will?
Not really. I mean, that's a really good starting pitching staff that you face. You face their 1, 2, and 3. I mean, the San Francisco Giants, their literally calling card this year is going to be their starting pitcher. So, you got to give it time. I'm more concerned about this team and how they'll be able to hit lefties, and they didn't really see a whole lot this weekend in terms of lefties. I know they saw a few, but the Giants only had one left-handed reliever. That's what I'm more concerned about, because I think this team could really get exposed with a 50% Steer and a 0% Austin Hayes. Without those two pieces, that's probably where I'm most concerned right now. It's almost like the Reds kind of had a little bit of a pass this weekend just facing so many right-handed pitchers.
Yeah. And the corner outfield spots are a nightmare. Outside of that, I'm hopeful that they'll figure it out. Gavin Lux, they're doing their best with him as well. I think that they're gonna probably just try to stick him out in the corner spots until they can figure out what's going on with Steer. I don't know how you feel, Nick, but like Steer, the whole situation with him, it makes no sense, right? Like the conversation around him in the spring was more or less like, hey, we're going to play this. We're going to do right by Spencer Steer. We're going to make sure we're very careful with this whole thing. We give him time. Then all of a sudden they come to this exhibition game with the top prospects in Dayton, and he gets kind of what seems like rushed into being a DH. Well, he's going to hit. We just want him to get some at bats, kind of stay fresh. No, they just decided that they were going to stick him on the roster basically without telling anybody at the time, and then they openly put him on the opening day roster, and then he starts opening day, and it's. I've said this once, I'll say it 1,000 times. This is no disrespect to Spencer Steer. It's no disrespect to Lux or Espinal or Fraley or anyone else, I guess Candelario or anyone else that's going to hit in that role. Nick, if the DH is such an awesome spot if you use it properly, because you should be able to find somebody that can't play a position but can flat out rake. We got average hitters, in my opinion, for the most part, that we're sticking in this DH role, and we've done it for 2 years now. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic on some of our guys, but it just seems like a sore spot for this Reds team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. You want to be patient with Steer, but you also he's not ready either at the same time. So I don't know. I don't think it's working. Maybe Steer will go 3 for 3 tomorrow and we'll all look dumb, and that would be great. But right now I just don't have a lot of confidence that he's going to make up for the inability to play Espinal at third base and the inability to line up your outfield right. That's just what I'm having a hard time really understanding right now.
Yeah, listen. The team needs to be the team needs to be better in general, to a certain extent, but more so, they're going to have to find a way to survive in advance over the next month until Tito, I think, gets a good grasp on what he has and what he doesn't have. I mean, you can say what you want, but I just feel like there's zero world where TJ Friedl doesn't start today. And I know that people are going to scoff at what I'm going to say. If David Bell's managing this team, it's a completely different outlook on the way the lineup is presented today. And I'm not saying whether that's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying that from an analytical perspective, it just doesn't make sense that TJ Friedl isn't at least in the game today at some point. But that's here nor there. All right, 988, text and or call day or night if you're ever feeling in a spot where you feel lonely, depressed, or perhaps just having trouble with someone else that you love, always feel free to anonymously call the hotline and or text the hotline 24/7. So thank you to those who are doing great service at 988 and mantherapy.org as well if you need it. All right, jumping in the back half, Nick Martinez. He did start today, and he did look like himself. That was one thing that, we didn't 100% know going into this season. He got paid a good amount of money, as we all know. And I know he gave up a couple home runs, and I know people are going to be like, well, Trace, that's part of the game. That's just how it is. You can't just push that to the side. I would just openly say I am very pleased with the way it looks. I know the score line, 6 innings pitched, 4 runs. Maybe that's not great, but I was at least pleased to see what I saw out of Nick Martinez.
Feels like Martinez is almost sometimes a prisoner of his ability to keep his pitch count low. Because if he was, a lot of other pitchers and is up at 85 pitches, he never pitches in the 6th inning. And we're talking about, hey, what a really nice start from Nick Martinez. But sometimes I think he was like at 65 pitches or something going into the 6th inning. And, third time through the order, there's some good hitters in the Giants lineup, and they turned it around in his first start of the year. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think obviously when you throw 4 perfect innings, even if it didn't end up well, I think you have to be pretty encouraged with the guy's first start of the year when he does that. So I'm excited about Nick Martinez this year. Obviously, you would like to see him be a little bit better, deeper into the game, but this first start, it's a nothing burger. Just be excited with what we saw, how dominant he can be for a pretty large stretch of his start today.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought he located well. I thought that he had the same bounce that he had that he did when he was on his great run towards the back end of last year, and I think that ultimately it'll pan itself out. The starting pitching, that's the thing that, I mean, you talk about trying to hang your hat on something, man. It just seems like we keep hanging our hat on something, and at the end of the game, we're like, yeah, like we got a good start. I would take that again. I'd sign up for that again. And then you look at the score and we lost. It's like, well, where's this go wrong? And what stinks is they've found a way to lose. Although it's only been 2 losses, they found a way to lose in 2 different completely ways. I mean, they just have. So we shall find out. I do want to give a shout out though. Yesterday, Nick, I put out a post that basically said we can't be a serious baseball town if we're doing the wave in the 8th inning while we're trying to get the first win of the season and we're fighting for our lives with a bullpen that needs our help. And by that, I mean, I know some people are going to be like, oh, what do they need your help for? They don't. I mean, listen, you can say whatever you want. The park can provide some energy. The fans can help. And it happened today, right? You have on there the fans and the pitch clock. They brought the juice. I know they were a small crowd. I know it looked like there was only like maybe 5,000 people there because they were expecting some bad weather perhaps, and schools tomorrow, all those types of things. Not making excuses for the small crowd, just saying there's some reasons for it. But they made a difference, right? You got Ray out there who gets a pitch clock violation, and then all of a sudden it just leads into the next he takes it all the way down to the wire every single time, right, Nick? So for those that didn't see it, the crowd started chanting with the pitch clock, very similar to a shot clock type situation in basketball with the home crowd. 5, 4, 3, 2. I got one small suggestion. I love this, by the way. Dylan in our chat said his section started it. I love that. One small suggestion as we do this moving forward. I say we make this our thing. And we only do it towards the back end of the game. We can't overburn it. We got to use it in spots. But we got to lie a little bit, Nick. We got to lie a little bit. We don't count it with the actual number, guys. We don't count it with the actual number. We got to fast forward this thing up a second or two, right? If it's on 10, we got to say there's 8, 7, 6. We got to get in their head a little bit more. Luckily, our man Ray was just absolutely flustered, flabbergasted. There's other words that I'd like to use right now, but I'd probably get in trouble. So at the end of the day, he was a little mentally weak. I think it got to him. I think it will get to more bullpen back into the starters if they take it down to the wire. But I just think we need to lie a little bit, Nick. Fib.
Yeah, a little like college basketball, where
Exactly.
you add a couple seconds, or you I guess subtract a couple seconds from the shot clock, and you count it down. Yeah, this is one of the cooler things I've seen, like from a baseball crowd, and for a crowd of I think less than 15,000 to pull this off was really awesome. And they met the moment. Like they picked a great moment. It was building. The Reds kind of had a lot of momentum in that inning, and that was really cool. I mean, it gave me some weird flashbacks to 2013 and the whole Cueto thing. But yeah, I bet that there's another team that does this and another fan base that tries to do this in the next week. I think this is going to be something that'll probably take off a little bit across baseball. But we'll always say we were here first. Kind of like we're the first Chatterbox Reds pregame show, right?
That's right. I guess so. Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying that it needs to be like a thing every single game. I certainly think that picking your spots is smart. If you do it all the time, it just wears thin, and I don't think the pitchers will pay any attention to it. But I love the idea of adding a couple seconds, or like you said, subtracting a couple seconds off of the pitch clock. And you got to make it close enough that they know that you're not maybe totally lying. Maybe we mix it up. I don't know. Maybe there's times where we tell the truth one pitch, and then maybe we lie the next one. I don't know. You just gotta do whatever you can to get into the old psychological aspect of a pitcher. And it's funny because I actually think that the crowd made a difference today. And I know some people might not think that matters, but you ask players, they know they can hear the crowd. Any other, I guess, final parting thoughts on the game as a whole here before we jump into some Reds MILB and talk about what's next?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, just great to see Matt McLain 2 home runs this weekend. I felt like he missed a couple too, and there really were some pretty good swings today as well. And yesterday, I mean, there was just some situations where the ball just died this weekend. Some weird, I think, wind going on down there in Cincinnati, but there were some good swings, and yeah, just a healthy Matt McLain, a healthy CES. They look the part this weekend, and that's something that's really encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, Elly definitely had a home run taken away from him. If you're into the StatCast numbers and things like that, on his ball to the right field. So, a little bit of poor luck, a little bit of your own undoing, and next thing you know, you find yourself in a spot where you feel like you should have won more than one game this series. But we're gonna steal some games, Nick. This is how it goes. It's part of the season, but it certainly doesn't make it any less frustrating when you have to watch it. So there was more Reds baseball. It just wasn't happening with the Reds. There was some Reds minor league baseball, Nick. I don't know if you're going to go all the way down to the Winter League, or it's not the Winter League. It's the Dominican League. I love the Dominican League. And Shang-En Lin, I can't wait to hear updates on him all year.
Got updates on it all. All right. So the Louisville Bats are the only team that started so far. So we got some catching up to do. We haven't talked about them. They opened the season on Friday. They take 2 of 3 against the Memphis Redbirds. That's the Cardinals affiliate. And the offense was just lights out for the Bats all weekend. Will Benson, 6 for 14, hit a home run. Swing looks good. Looks confident. Look, there was several pitches that he crushed that were right down the middle of the plate, if we're being fair. But hey, he's hitting them. He's doing as good as he can, as good as he possibly could have this weekend. Rhys Hines, I tell you what, has had some great at-bats. He's got 2 home runs and 8 official at-bats. He's also got a couple of walks. That's just really good to see from him. Having some just quality at-bats from Rhys Hines. Noelvi Marte, he has 3 doubles. He's looking pretty good, swinging the bat well. And then on the pitching side, the 2 relievers that we're watching really closely, Zach Maxwell has looked absolutely dominant. He's already thrown 2 scoreless innings. Luis May has just thrown 1. But overall, I mean, there's some good stuff down in Louisville. And if Benson and Hines keep hitting like this, the calls for them to get on the big league roster are just going to increase. And as mentioned, no one else has started yet. AAA, Chattanooga, High A, Dayton, and Low A, Daytona will all kick off their season on Friday. And of course, we'll be here covering all of that. And then Trace, just for you, The Arizona Complex League, the ACL Reds, they start their season on May 3rd. Dominican Summer League has not officially announced their start date, but it's usually around the beginning of June. So we will wait anxiously, Trace, for that announcement.
I'll be waiting. Do you have an update on where you think Shang and Lin will begin his year?
Still listed on the ACL Reds. I heard from a little bit of a source that it does not sound like they're going to put him in Daytona just because they hate me and they don't want me to get to see him on that beautiful 360p camera down there in Daytona that they got.
Shade. Damn, Nick's throwing shade. Everybody's acting like, oh, there's positive Nick. He'll put a positive spin on everything. There he goes. Did you hear that? Just ripped the Daytona video department to shreds. 360p.
They don't have the budget. I got some sources. They don't have the budget. It's not the people. The people are working hard. They don't have the budget. They need a little. They need a little money thrown their way.
Not to get sidetracked. Don't you think it's kind of wild that Major League Baseball doesn't do what like ESPN Plus did, which is just supply all of these teams. They have teams every year. It's not like this is a team that just they're only there for a year. Why wouldn't they just supply all these teams with some semblance of a decent equipment and then have it go onto your system so it looks nice and uniform? I don't know, man. The thing is that we're living in the wild, wild west right now of the internet. Maybe it's a good reason because they let two fools like us on the internet and do shows like this. But then there's other times where I'm sitting back and I'm thinking like, don't you think in 75 years they're going to look back at some of this content that's on the internet and be like, this was a professional team that was putting this type of content out? It's pretty wild, but I digress.
Well, when Elly De La Cruz was in Daytona, there was not even video at all.
Yeah, well, what can you do? I don't know. I'm not going to kill everybody. I don't know the situation, but I'll just say Chatterbox Sports figures it out. I would like to think that they could as a professional franchise, but maybe not. All right, up next, the Reds do play more baseball. Nick, who, what, when, where, and why?
All right, Monday, the lovely 6:40 start times that me and Trace just adore. We're back 6:40 Monday night on the FanDuel Sports Network. Brady Singer will make his Cincinnati Reds debut. Singer had a nice spring. 2.55 ERA in 5 starts, 21 strikeouts, and 7 walks. He's had some success against the active Rangers. They're just 14 for 60. That's a 233 average and 713 OPS. The only active Ranger that has taken Brady Singer deep is Kyle. I'm not going to try. Kyle is the only one that's taken him deep. I was going to butcher that really bad, and that internet never dies. Reds will be going up against Kumar Rocker. This was the guy that was the Mets pick, the 10th overall in 2021. They had the whole medical deal, ended up playing an independent ball, and then the Rangers got him. And he's only made a couple official big league starts, had a tough spring. He had an ERA of 9, gave up 18 hits in 13 innings, and walked 9 batters, but he also struck out 20. So Kumar Rocker, a little bit of a hit or miss. What will we get with him in his command? He's obviously one of the more talented pitchers. He's a right-handed pitcher, in case you were wondering. So I'm excited to see Brady Singer, Trace, kind of see, what he's able to do. Kind of surprised they kept him till the 4th start of the year. But he looked great this spring. He looked as good as he possibly could. Got a little bit more swing and miss than maybe I anticipated.
Well, it's going to be at least a breath of fresh air to see somebody new. It doesn't take anything away, I guess, from the fact that we've seen the guys before. I appreciate watching Hunter Green just as much as anybody in the league. But it is kind of like a little bit of a honeymoon for certain guys. Even Gavin Lux, when he comes up to the plate right now, it's like, I'm just interested, a little more interested, I guess, than I am of watching other guys. Singer will be the same for me. Hopefully we don't have like some huge rush to judgment on the trade. I know that's going to be a thing all year with obviously India, and I don't know. We'll wait and see how it all plays out. And the starting pitching, let's hope, continues to showcase that it's the most valuable asset that the Reds have. And we get a good start. We find a way to win, and it kind of makes all this feel a little less yucky in the end. So you have – go ahead.
The Rangers are off to a good start. They are 3-1. They had a really good weekend. One wild story I saw on the Rangers, hopefully I'm not misreading this, but they took down their World Series banner from 2023. Or is that when they won? I think it was 2023, maybe 2022, whatever it was. They took it down, I guess, because they didn't want that to be like a distraction, not a distraction, but they wanted the team this year to earn it again and didn't want it hanging up there because they had the World Series hangover last season. So kind of a wild story that I saw over the weekend.
Now that takes the dumb butt move of the day. I know it's probably not it's past a lot of kids' bedtimes, and I'm trying to keep my mouth clean on this show. I've never heard anything more stupid in my life than what you just said. So I'm sure that'll get those guys going. Oh, man, did you see what they did? They took our banner down.
They took down our banner.
I know what we're going to do. We're going to start playing better baseball. Stupid.
3-1. Results don't lie.
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever. Maybe we've been doing it wrong the whole time. You know what? I think there's some merit to this. Maybe we should stop celebrating 75 and 76 and 90 so much around here. Let's just rip all the banners out. Take them all out of the museum. Let's clean house. Let's tell everybody that's over with. That's done. We're not resting on our laurels, okay, of the 1975 and 1976 Big Red Machine anymore. We got some of our own winning to do. Think that would fix the problem around here? I'll tell you right now, nothing else has seemed to fix it. So we might want to look into it. Food for thought. But more food for thought. We actually are adding some content. I don't know. Nick is a psychopath, just so you know, chat. Okay, this guy does nothing but basically want to produce more content after he already produces content, but the content that he already produced, which is fine by me. Obviously, I'm a big fan of that. But Nick, you would round some folks up here to do some pregame shows. Why don't you enlighten the viewership here of what the plan is?
Yeah, tomorrow is the debut of the Chatterbox Reds pregame show. The pregame show will be every weeknight. We're not going to do day games yet. Might add that during the course of the season. But every weeknight game, and it'll be 1 hour before first pitch. So tomorrow, 5:40 p.m., Mike Hart and Ricky Logan will tell you everything there is to know about the Texas Rangers. You know what, Trace? On these days, I'm not going to give you a full preview of the Texas Rangers because you're going to have to tune in at 5:40. And in all seriousness, these guys have been working really hard to get everything up and running. So I would love it if you would support them, like their stream tomorrow. You can like ours too tonight if you don't mind. But like their stream, jump in the comments, shout out those guys because they're grinding, working hard to make this a reality. And I'm excited. We'll have some more content. I mean, you can tune in to Chatterbox Reds at 5:40. It'll go about 30 minutes, lead you right up to the Reds pregame show. You can watch that, enjoy that, watch the game, and then come right back here. So you got a full night now.
That's right, all day long. So it's just all day Reds. Well, to wrap this show up, I just want to say I appreciate everybody jumping in the chat. I know Sundays it's a little bit of a unique time because we don't go live right after the game. So you guys kind of have to make it a little bit of appointment television for us. And I really do appreciate the fact that we have so many people coming in here each and every single night. And also, there's actually some ball talk going on in the chat. That's nice to see. I know that, perhaps it can kind of get a little bit of testy at times in the chat. Some people are saying one thing, the other person saying this thing. You guys are all running to the internet to find, what stats you want to pull out. They're going to pull out their stats. And you know what? Someone asked me the other day about what Chatterbox Reds was. That's the hardest thing to do that I've done in my life is when I'm at a ball game or somebody and someone's like, so, what do you do? And it's like, what do I do? We talk about the Reds and we do a show after every single Reds game. And, I got to the point where I was trying to explain what Chatterbox Reds was, and I said, you know what it is? It's basically just a bunch of people that are more or less sitting around a bar, that know probably a little bit more than the average person about the Reds that are just trying to talk ball. That's pretty much what it is. That's what I left it as.
Imagine trying to tell people what you do, and you don't even live in the Cincinnati area. You live near the Pennsylvania border. Yeah, I talk about the Reds. Wait, but you live up here. How does that work? I mean, it's usually like a 20-minute conversation, and eventually we wrap it up, and they're like, I think this guy might be nuts. When they're probably right.
Yeah, they probably definitely are right. Daniel Myers, super chat, $5 says Jake Fraley needs to go. We are holding on to his former self. Yeah, I mean, listen, I will say it's been 3 games. The difficult thing about Jake Fraley is that it didn't go well last year. It didn't go well in the spring, and now it's not going well in the first series. And the hard part about this team is it feels like we don't have the margin for error to be wrong on anybody for an extended period of time. And when you have guys like Reese Hines and Will Benson playing as well as they have to start the beginning of their seasons, now it is AAA, and we have seen plenty of times, Nick, guys to go to AAA and kill it, come back to the big league club and it not be that way. We'll see what ultimately happens with Jake Fraley. I think he's a great person. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he turns it around and he plays for the big league club all year long. But once you kind of get into the margins of all this, Nick, the guys that separate themselves from AAA to the last roster spots that are on this team, there's just not much of a difference. You could flip a coin, man. It feels like you could flip a coin on a lot of these guys.
One other thing, a shout out, who just put this in the chat? Shout out to John Linehan, because I wanted to mention this and just talk briefly about it. No stolen bases this weekend. That was kind of surprising. I think a lot of that is Patrick Bailey, who is probably the most elite catcher in baseball at throwing out runners. But certainly interesting. Was there a stolen base attempt?
Not that I remember, no.
A little bit surprising. It'll be interesting to see Jonah Heim with the Rangers. I don't think is known as certainly not anywhere close to the level of Patrick Bailey. So it'll be interesting to see. That's something I guess to monitor his like pop times, like well below. Not a great defensive catcher. So let's see if they run all over the Rangers, and then we can maybe get a better idea of how tempered the run game might be, but certainly something interesting. Great point, John, bringing that up.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add, too, not to get too down deep into the weeds as we wrap the show up, but this is how it goes, man. You talk ball, you start bringing up things, and it starts making me think of things that I've thought about before. You know, that's another thing. When you hit Elly third, it just puts more clutter in front of him to possibly, you know, have guys in front of him. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the case all year long, but the truth is that, you know, Elly found himself on a couple times, and the couple times that he was on just weren't very favorable positions to try to steal second base. So obviously it's not just Elly. I know there's other guys that can steal, but typically when we're talking about stolen bases with this team, Elly seems to be kind of like an odds-on favorite to steal at least what seems like a bag a game. Seems like the over-under on Elly stolen bases is going to be like a half every single game, or one maybe even certain parts of the season. So that's all I got. I just want to say, thankfully, the Storms, they held off. We survived another Chatterbox Reds with sirens going off. I know that you probably didn't hear them, but they were going off back there not too long ago. And, hey, we live, we see another day, and the Reds will try to find a way to get out of here. Till then, make sure to check out the pregame show. All right, those guys are they're anxious, they're awaiting. We were all starting our first show one time too, so go support them. We appreciate you. Do your best to check it out. Go Reds.